Bryan Fischer here for D1 Ticker and Collegiate Sports Connect here at the 2025 NCAA Convention in Nashville, joined by Davidson College AD Chris Clunie. Chris, thank you so much for stopping by. And exciting times or kind of interesting times here at the convention?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. There's obviously a lot going on throughout the NCAA landscape, and a couple of big votes on the horizon, and obviously just a greater landscape in intercollegiate athletics as a whole. But it's never boring. It's never dull.
What are you particularly focused on in terms of getting clarity in this time of uncertain futures?
Sure, I think the biggest thing is just around the NCAA settlement, right? It's on track as it looks like to be approved in April. But even just the details around, the revenue share and Title IX, there's still just a lot of fluidity. And then it's just, obviously the settlement's not the end, right? Like there's still a lot of challenges on the horizon. And so you really feel like you're flying the plane and building it at the same time. And you have a plan in place and just be ready to adapt. And you never know when that's going to go.
I mean, I've talked with some of these, they have like 5 or 6 plans depending on what percentages and all that. I mean, are you one of those ones we got to have 9 different things going on, or you're like, let's just wait, or how are you kind of approaching things?
Yeah, I think it's core principles, right? It's the ability to say, all right, here are non-negotiables and here are things that are flexible, right? And so, the settlement comes into play, like we want to opt in, right? Like we want to be able to step into a revenue share specifically around men's and women's basketball. That's important for us, especially being in a basketball-centric conference with the Atlantic 10. And then the other piece is, how do you also continue to make strides in Olympic sports and all of your other programs, right? And so we don't want to take a step back. We see it as an opportunity, even in a challenging era, to move forward, right? And continue to provide the best scholar athlete experience and build what we call sustainable championship competitive programs.
How much do you look at benchmarking against your peers in your conference in particular? What are they doing? Are you having a lot of those type of conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have some of those conversations here this week, and you're always seeing sort of in the marketplace on D1 Ticker what other institutions are doing, just to try to get a sense for where we stand in that space. At the end of the day, also, you don't want to get too bogged down by what other folks are doing. It's like, here's what's best for us, right? This is what's best for Davidson College, and so we're trying to do that, trying to put that plan in place, and sort of, again, be flexible and adaptable where we have to be moving forward.
I mean, do you look at this as also an opportunity, especially compared to, say, your peers at the FBS level that might be saying, hey, we're going to put the bulk of our revenue sharing towards football. It might not happen in basketball to the level that you guys might fund things. Are you looking at this as an opportunity, though? Absolutely.
Sort of chaos, opportunity within the chaos, if you will. Yeah, we're unique. Obviously, FCS non-scholarship, and so we don't have the challenges that a lot of FBS programs are having. We operate so close to the margins as is, right. And then because of that, we are able to be a little bit more nimble and intentional about what we do and how we do it. And so, yeah, there is a unique opportunity. And again, prioritizing men's and women's basketball, because that when they do well, all of our programs do well. But for us, we're in a unique situation. We're one of the top liberal arts academic institutions in the country with high-level Division I athletics. And so there's not a lot of programs like us. And so the blueprint is something that we have to create. The blueprint isn't out there, right? So again, that's why we're going to try to focus on what's important to us and try to do athletics the right way, while also embracing, the chaotic future.
Well, I'll swing back around to basketball in a second, but you mentioned football. Just hired a football coach. Walk us through that whole process. And I mean, did you kind of come into the offseason expecting to lose your coach? Because I think it was a little bit of a surprise name that you had to deal with your departure.
Sure. Well, our previous coach, Scott Abel, had done a fantastic job, right? And 7 years became the winningest football coach in Davidson College football history. And, we won 2 PFL championships, made 3 straight FCS appearances. And so for us, it was something that with that success, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Like, it's great to have that success, and he changed the program, changed the culture and the teams. And so, but, it's when you win, you're desirable, right? And we get it. It's no hard feelings. We're disappointed, but it was an opportunity to sort of press reset and then also build on the success previously. You never want to lose your coach. You never want to lose them 3 days before Thanksgiving. But that's the way that this industry works. And I'm really proud of our staff, and we put a real solid plan in place 3 weeks, and the pool was incredible. It just showed where we were, where the program is in terms of the folks that had interest in, being the next head football coach at Davidson. And, Saj Thakar just rose to the top. And we think he's going to be fantastic. He's dynamic, he's young, he's innovative, and he's really bought into helping our program move forward. That's the biggest piece, was we wanted to find somebody that could build on the success, move this program forward, and continue to provide the best scholar athlete experience. And Saj, we think, is the right person for that. Yeah, coming from Bentley, he won in 2 years there, did a great job. Previously at Harvard, had great experiences there, has brought in an incredible staff to date. The 5 guys have come on board. He's looking to round out the staff here shortly. And so they're excited to hit the ground running. Our team is excited to hit the ground running. And so, it's another opportunity. It's the next chapter in Davidson college football.
I mean, you guys had one of the highest scoring offenses under Coach Abel. Did you go into this process thinking, I want to sustain that, I want to maybe go in a different direction? How did you kind of approach that process initially? And then as you're talking with candidates, as you looking through that pool, did it kind of change how you viewed the program?
Yeah, I think one of the things that made the previous coaching staff so successful, they ran an unconventional offense, right? And we surprised a lot of people. And that option offense really sort of put us on the map. And then you had to adjust kind of moving forward. And so the blueprint is there. I think, Coach Saj is going to bring a little bit more balance, which is great. And so at the end of the day, the biggest opportunity was to build on the success, to take the team that we had and continue to bring in high quality talent, that are in the classroom, on the field, et cetera. And so that's why we're real excited, because we think we'll have a pretty innovative and dynamic approach to the game moving forward. And the program is going to look a little bit different, and that's good. That's a good thing, right? And it's a great opportunity, like we said, to press reset. And so overall, we're just really excited about, yes, we do want to score points, right? And we want our defense to get better, and all those things, right? And so at every level of the game, at every level, 3 levels, whether it's special teams and defense and offense and everything beyond, we feel really good about the direction we're moving in.
Was it interesting for you to hire somebody who's so, I mean, he's a Massachusetts guy through and through, bringing that down to Davidson? How do you kind of just evaluate bringing somebody kind of a fish out of the water, if you will?
Yeah, fish out of the water in some cases, but I think if you look around the country, again, he's been at national programs, right? And Davidson's a national program. Even though we're in North Carolina, we have young men from all over the country, right? It's just, that's how football is now. And he's recruited all over the country, even if he's been sort of based primarily in the Northeast. I remember when he came in, he knew a bunch of our guys. He'd recruited them at other places, right? And so for us, it's an opportunity to bring somebody down that we think understands the high academic, high athletic balance, has a great skill set, has a great set of comprehensive experiences previously, and he's going to bring all of that and more to Davidson.
Going back onto the hard court, your old coach, it's been a couple of years since Bob Van Killip retired, obviously transitioning over to his son. How has that whole process kind of played out in your mind? And obviously you guys are off to a great start this season.
Yeah, it's been great. And obviously having played with Matt and for Bob and sort of being in the middle of that transition, it's hard replacing Bob McKillop. He's a legend, right? And Matt, had solid 2 years to start and really rounding into form this year, right? And so 12-4 off to a great start. It's a great league. Yeah. It's a great league, and we also play a great schedule, right? The ability to jump down to the Bahamas and play Gonzaga and Arizona and Providence and come out with a win against Providence, and playing tough teams in the non-conference, and then obviously you get to the A10 play, and the A10 conference is a really good basketball league. It's a great league overall, but from a basketball perspective, it's just tough. And there are so many good teams, so many quality coaches, quality players. And so for us, it continues to be a battle, but we feel good about where we are, 2-1, and have a big game tomorrow night and just try to win games. And
obviously the ATNs had some success in March. How much do you look at that as, hey, we got to catch up, we're benchmarking against our peers in the league, we understand where that level is, and here's how we got a plan to get to there.
Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting is, when we made the transition from the Southern Conference to the Atlantic 10 in 2014, for a 10-year, 11-year span since we've been one of the better teams in the conference, right? We actually have the most all-conference performers, right, since 2014. I think we're tied for the most players of the year since 2000, but we've only been in the league since 2014, right? And so the team has done a really good job in terms of sustaining itself and being one of the better programs, and we want to continue that. We've taken a bump the last couple of years, obviously, with the transition, but Matt has a team and the program and on the right track, and he's the absolute person for the job, and we want to win. Again, I mentioned building sustainable championship competitive programs. We want to win, and so that's our focus, right? And again, it's a great league, and we wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
how much are you working with your coaches and Matt in particular about just this changing nature of recruiting student athletes, keeping them on campus? I mean, there's no guys that are graduating and coming back to be AD like yourself. Like how do you talk with your coaches about retaining and recruiting athletes right now?
Yeah, it's different. We the last couple of years we probably lost more to the transfer portal than we had the previous 15 or 20 combined. The other flip side of that is we've benefited from it, right? We made the tournament in 22, and one of the leaders on that team was Foster Laurier, who transferred in from Michigan State, right? We have a couple transfers on our program right now that have had an impact on the men's and the women's side, right? But so for us, it's about understanding and embracing that. I still think that we can keep and recruit and retain, right? It doesn't have to be 2 years, 3 years. The value proposition around Davidson, around the Davidson education, and around the culture, we think that's really important, right? And the ability to recruit great players, great people, folks that believe in the culture that we're trying to build and sustain, and that can help us win and help us get better, right? And so, that's the trick, right? Like, you can no longer just bank on players being there for 4 years, right? But we still feel like there's an opportunity to recruit and retain great players, and that's what we're trying to do.
A lot of talk at this conference in particular about the future of especially the men's and women's basketball tournaments and where we're going with that. Expansion is a topic. Like, what are you looking at in terms of where March Madness is going right now?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a vote on women's basketball units, and I think it's absolutely great. I think it's the right time, and for us, it just shows again the importance of basketball, especially in the intercollegiate athletic space, especially for us being a basketball-centric school and in the Atlantic 10. And so I feel really happy about that moving forward, and hope and believe that it will. And it just shows the growth in the women's game as well, right? Just transformational these past couple of years, and obviously on the strengths of so many people beforehand, but the women's game has grown at a rapid pace, and it's a good thing, right? And we want to see that continue. I do think across expansion, especially for the men's side, I think it's time. I think there's been talks about it, discussions about it. Because of the inequity that schedules and transfer portal and NIL has caused, the ability to expand the tournament and provide more access. That's the biggest piece, right? Provide more access for teams, I think is the biggest piece. And I think if you run the models, you can do it in a way in which is not too cumbersome for the NCAA or for the folks that have to run it, right? There's a model right there already with the first 4 in Dayton and expanding that, right, to increase the number of teams and greater access. So we are all supportive. I know we're supportive of it. I know that the Atlantic 10 is supportive of it. I know that a number of conferences and schools are supportive of it. And so hopefully that's something that comes sooner rather than later.
Are you at all worried, though, that those extra bids might go to just autonomy for conferences and it might potentially shift you from maybe getting a single-digit seed to now you're going to play in a Dayton or whatnot?
Yeah, I think obviously how those bids are allocated is important as well. So you have to talk about sort of the format and the structure for what that looks like. But at the end of the day, you have to control what you have to control, right? And so if you look around the country, especially with a few sort of non-Power 4 conferences and their shift towards football, right? And with the CFP, and we're not in that space, right? So it's actually an opportunity for an Atlantic 10 to step in, right? We don't have football as part of our primary conference, and for us to step in and take some of those bids. But our programs have to continue performing well and winning those non-conference opportunities and strengthening our overall net and our metrics across the league, and we'll continue to do that, right? So, yeah, of course, you don't want all of the bids to be allocated, a certain way, and whatever that framework looks like. Once we get to that point, we still have to win games and take advantage of it.
Do you have more faith in the NCAA right now than you did maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
It is a challenging time. I think what folks have learned about recently is change is needed. Right? Change is needed. Instead of sort of preventing things from happening, now it's an opportunity to help build solid guardrails and framework and a framework for things to happen in the way that we want it to happen, right? And so for us, it's about moving forward. It's about understanding the challenges that we have ahead. And again, as I mentioned before, there are a ton of challenges, but there's also opportunity, right? And continue to understand that intercollegiate athletics should continue to be tied to academics, right? There is a place and a space for that needs to happen. At the end of the day, the 4 years here is a short term. That's the short term, right? But it's the long term. It's the skills that you learn as an intercollegiate athlete. It's the skills that you develop at being a part of a team and part of a program and doubling down on that. Revenue share, yes. NIL, yes. All those different things, yes. And it doesn't have to be and or. It can be that and. And that's what I think is important for the NCAA and all of us moving forward, because we are the NCAA when it comes down to it. So, yeah, it's a challenging time, but it's an opportunity to be bold and get this right moving forward.
How much do you talk about with your current student athletes, just the nature of things that are happening, going on in the broader space of college athletics, and ultimately what's going to filter down to the campus level?
Yeah, we do. I think it's important to maintain that stream of communication. I think the bigger piece is, look, there are certain things that you're going to be able to control, and the majority of it you're not. Right? Just focus on what we do. We try to do athletics the right way. We try not to compromise academics or athletics. We don't want kids to have to choose. We want them to be the best they can possibly be in the classroom and the best they can possibly be in the pool, on the court, on the field, whatever it may be. Focus on that. We want to support their scholar athlete experience. We want to support their mental health. We want to support their career development. And so our conversations are much more focused on that. Like, what do you need to be successful for your 4 years at Davidson? Because that's what we're really focused on. All the other stuff will take care of itself, right? The revenue share, that stuff will figure itself out. But focused on your scholar athlete experience, and again, your team and your program, and having the best 4-year experience possible.
How much are you also communicating kind of up to your school president, to the rest of campus, about some of these changes that are coming that are going to impact maybe not just a basketball program or two, it's going to impact your entire department?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a great relationship with our president, and that's key, right? Like, if you have alignment from there, and it filters down to coaches, and then across campus, right? Just helping campus understand that things are going to change, right? It's just the nature of where we are and the nature of the landscape, but it's okay, right? It's going to look a little bit different, but that's okay, right? And I think it's, again, I go back to what I said before about, at the end of the day, we still have our non-negotiables, right? Like, we still have a focus on the academics. We still have a focus on leadership and service. We still have a focus on recruiting and retaining great kids for that 4-year experience at one of the best liberal arts colleges in the country that plays Division I athletics at the highest level, right? And so those things aren't going to change, and it's embracing the future and understanding that, hey, at the end of the day, we can still be who we are, still be grounded in our culture, trying to do athletics the right way.
What's the biggest thing that's been on your plate recently? Is it the stadium renovation? Like, what's going on in your world right now that you're really embracing?
Yeah, the stadium renovation is, it's online. We competed this past season in it for lacrosse in the spring, and in our first football season this past fall. And for us, that's been huge, right? It's just transformed what we do from a scholar athlete and from a facility perspective. Having a field now for football and lacrosse, its own space, having a field house attached to it that has a weight room, 12,500 square feet for all of our scholar athletes, a nutrition station, right? Coaching spaces for football, but then also there's a trickle-down effect. Now we're able to sort of transform our old field into a track and field complex, and so we're really excited about that. They were the only program on our campus that we're not allowed or not able to host a home competition because of having the turf on the infield, right? And so we're going to host our first track meet in a long time, hopefully in March, and so yeah, that piece of it has been really great. There's always facility and enhancements, down the road that we're keeping our eye on, and it's sort of like understanding the momentum and when's the right time to move forward with that. The biggest thing I think right now is just understanding where we're going with the settlement, understanding what revenue share is going to look like, and providing a clear roadmap, again, to position basketball, men's and women's, to be successful, and to position all of our programs with scholarships, direct team support, whatever our coaches need and what our scholar athletes need to be successful.
Well, you mentioned hosting the first track and field on campus. Now I want to know, what's that to-do list look like for you and your staff?
Yeah, we haven't hosted a meet there in a long time, but it's great. I think it's great. If you come to our field, it's awesome. It's next to the library, which that doesn't happen in a ton of campuses, and it's right in front of the student union. And so, the Case Track and Field Complex, we're really excited about the opportunity to host track. And we want to do big things. We want to host meets. We want to host an A-10 championship here soon. We want to host high school events here soon. And so at the end of the day, track and field's a great sport, great program, and the ability to have the ability to host on campus and bring folks from all over and bring the community in is a really cool thing.
It's obviously January. Everybody's making, resolutions and all that, but as you look back on this this past calendar year, what are you most proud of that's happened there at Davidson College?
Yeah, you're proud of a ton. I think it starts with our scholar athletes. I was just popping through social media, and even this past fall, like, every single one of our programs were over a 3.3 GPA, a 3.2 GPA. I think all of our women's programs were over a 3.5. And at a school like Davidson, that's super difficult academically, that's incredible, right? So it starts there, and then just all the enhancements and impact that we've had, whether it's been across mental health. We hired a mental health director for athletics this year. We added a couple of support staff at the administrative level, and so we've expanded our sports performance space with our trainers and our coaches. We've done more in the communication space across marketing and content, and so again, I think just continuing to build capacity within our staff, build capacity with our scholar athletes, and again, provide the best scholar athlete experience possible, provide the best resources for our program to try and win championships and be successful. And that's our main goal. We focus on scholar athletes, we focus on our coaches and administration, we focus on the community and facilities, and try to enhance the brand of Davidson College.
How much harder is it being an AD right now than it was maybe when you started or even 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, when I took the job 7 years ago, especially coming from the NBA, I did not foresee this, right? But nobody did, right? And so for us, like I think I also have the benefit of being at my alma mater, right? Having played at Davidson, been a scholar athlete at Davidson, and so for me, it's great to be an AD, even in these challenging circumstances. It's even better to be an AD at your alma mater. Like, I love this place, I believe in this place, and I believe in the potential that we have to even move forward. And so challenges, yes, and it's crazy chaotic, but you embrace it, and we have great people, great coaches, great people first, then great coaches and staff. And when you have that and great scholar athletes and the great community support behind us, we're really excited and fortunate to do what we do.
That's a great note to end it on. Chris, thank you so much for stopping by here at the 2025 NCAA Convention.